Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another sprint release video. My name is Peter, and I will be guiding you through the demonstration of the updates that have been made in the latest release of the SKG IKOB coördinatie, onderzoek, and klantportaal apps. So the first feature that we will discuss involves the request made for generated reports with the Monstername templates to be smaller in length by removing things like the summary, the table of contents, improvement points from the report. So to demonstrate, here we are logged in the Onderzoek app. I'm logged in as myself. And the first thing to notice that I would like to show is that you are now able to select a new template for Monstername reports. So for example, in the Onderzoeks app, in the checklist, we come to a checklist that is still in concept. If we edit this checklist, we come to Instellingen and we go to change the templates, and we see now we have a new option to select the Monstername templates for reports. And then now, of course, this checklist can be saved and made active for appointments to be created for this checklist. And I will now soon demonstrate and show you how a generated report looks like for a Monstername template. So here we are. I have an example of a generated report without the Monstername template, and this is noticeable because we still see the table of contents over here versus a generated report for a Monstername template. So the first thing to show is that in this Monstername template, we see that we do not have any table of contents anymore. This has been removed. As well, we see that the report is quite short. And for example, we do not have the summary sections as well. And we don't have the improvement points. And we also now have the signature being displayed directly below the algemene gegevens section. So these are some of the things that we have improved, and this is how a generated report for a Monstername template will now look like. So on to the next new feature, we had a request to reduce the amount of white spaces in a generated report, and this has now been updated, and I will demonstrate an example report of how this new version looks with less white space. So here we are. We have a generated report, an example of a generated report that still had quite a couple of white spaces in the report. We see here in the algemene gegevens section, there's some white spaces between the different sections, as we can see. And now in the new version, we see that we have reduced the amount of white spaces between the sections over here now, as we can see. Now, this user story involved a request to create an option to change the reviewer of a checklist for situations where, for example, if an assigned reviewer was sick or on vacation, then the reviewer of the checklist can be easily changed for someone else to review it. And I will demonstrate how this is done shortly. So here we are back in the Onderzoeks app. I'm logged in as myself. Here in the main reality checks overview page, under the Te beoordeling tab, we see now in this list of reality checks a new button, Reviewer wijzigen. If we click this button, then we are shown a pop-up screen where we can select a new reviewer or coordinator for this checklist. So currently it's on Art, Now if we change it to yup, here we are logged in now as yup. And if we can see in his main reality checks overview page in Turbo Oordeling, we have this new checklist that we have assigned to him to review now. So these next two user stories deal with the settings of checklists to niet uitgevoerd. The first user story over here involved the request to include the name of the employee that executed and set the checklist to niet uitgevoerd. So this name should also be shown on the checklist in both the onderzoek and the coördinatie app. And the next story as well involved allowing the coordinator to see the actual checklist that was set to niet uitgevoerd in the onderzoeks app, because before, once a checklist was set to niet uitgevoerd, then it disappeared, and now we bring it back to still be seen in the list of checklists in the onderzoek app. So to demonstrate, we are back in the onderzoeks app. I've logged in as Marcel. I've already set this checklist to niet uitgevoerd. And now if we click on this button over here, niet uitgevoerd report, we see all the details, the explanation, toelichting, the date, the reason, everything. And now if we complete this process by Marcel, we also see here, this is also new, the name of the person that has set this checklist to niet uitgevoerd is now displayed. And if we complete this process, now we see that the checklist should be in the afgerond list over here. We see a couple already, but this is the checklist that we were looking at. We see clearly now that this is a checklist that was set to niet uitgevoerd. And if we click the opener button, we see now the pop-up of all the information of the niet uitgevoerd checklist, the toelichting, date, and everything else. And if we click on report, then we still see the report. Then one more thing to show, I'm logged in as myself in coördinatie app. We're here in reality checks niet uitgevoerd. And now we see a list of checklists that have been set to niet uitgevoerd. Now, if you remember the checklist that we set as Marcel to niet uitgevoerd, Modeco, now we should see it here in coördinatie app. There we go. And this was executed at that date. If we open up to check out all the information, we now also see the name of the person who executed the checklist to be niet uitgevoerd. This next feature that we have included in this release involves ensuring that emails about actions are not directly sent to the inspector, but rather to the coordinator. So to demonstrate what we have added, we are logged into the coördinatie app. I've logged in as myself as an admin. And if we come to instellingen and reality checks, I've selected this reality check BRL 1513. If we select one of the scopes, then we come into the settings. And now under step number 3, we see this new option for where we can select which type of user we want the emails for the actions to be sent to. If we select both of them, and here we also have an option to select a coordinator, and we see here a drop-down list of coordinators that we can select from. And now in this way, This means that for this reality check, actions that are sent for that reality check and this regulation will be sent to this chosen coordinator. So this is how this process has been implemented now. Now, the final feature that we have implemented for this release involved adding an option to make it possible for the administrators to select which users should be able to receive emails about actions whenever these action emails are sent. So now to take a look and demonstrate this, we are here in the Clown portal. I've logged in as myself as an admin. We are here in the list of gebruikers, and we see here that if we open one of them up, we see now in this list there is a new actie notificatie checkbox. And basically, if this checkbox is ticked, then this means that this user will be receiving emails about actions. And if this checkbox is not ticked, then the user will not be receiving emails about actions. Another thing that is important to note is that at least one user of each customer should be chosen to receive emails about actions. So this means that if the admin tries to, for example, with Marlus, who belongs to customer Patina, if we as the admin try and remove this actie notificatie checkbox from Marlus, then we will get an error message because currently Marlus is the last user of this customer that has this checkbox ticked, and there should always be at least one user or one employee of the customer that will be receiving the action emails. So that was it. I hope this was informative, and I hope it helps moving forward with understanding all the changes that we have made in this release. Thank you for listening. And of course, if you have any questions, please do let us know. Thank you.